obviously Eddie Hearn took a little bit of a jab at you earlier this week when he said he loves a pound note.
Who doesn't? What fighter likes to get paid less than what they believe they're worth? None. I guarantee you there's not one fighter in the UK that wouldn't take this fight for the money I'm getting. I guarantee it.
David Haye, big thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Really good to have you here with us. So big news has taken the boxing world by storm as you are coming out of retirement. It's been 3 years since you last fought. What's motivated you to make this return?
Effectively, it's sort of pride. It's a friend of mine believed wrongly, in my opinion, that in 2021 he can beat me. He fully understands that a few years ago he would have come violently unstuck. But for some reason he believes now the 2021 version of David Haye is the David Haye that he can beat. He believes he's on form, he believes, I've taught him a lot of stuff, he sparred with me plenty of rounds, so he believes he knows me enough, knows my injuries, knows how I live my life, and he believes that he can beat me. I disagree with him, and there was a bit of back and forth in Mykonos, Greek island, and we had a not quite heated back and forth. It wasn't an argument. He was saying one thing, I was heavily disagreeing, everyone else was laughing there, looking at us bantering back and forth. So I said, I tell you what, why don't we go to my gym, we're back in London, 4 rounds, 18-ounce gloves, head guard, I'll show you how good I am in 2020. And he went, no, if we're gonna do that, if I'm gonna get in the ring and fight you, I wanna fight you for real. I want it to be on the record. I want it to be on television. I want people to see. I want my family to see. I want everyone to see what I can do to a 2021 version.
What can we expect from Joe Fournier, do you think? Because he's obviously not someone that's got the profile like you do. Yeah,
I don't know. He's been ranked number 10 in the world by the WBA. He's undefeated fighter. He's knocked out 100% of his opponents, but the opponents that he beat weren't world champions. They weren't European champions. So I just don't see how, with the limited experience he's had, how he could gain the confidence to beat someone like myself. But he comes from humble beginnings, he's become a billionaire, so in his mind anything's possible. So he's looking at me like he looks at a business. He turns businesses from this to that, and he thinks he's going to turn his boxing career from 10-0 to beating David Haye. I think he's crazy. He thinks it's just how his life works, and and I've got to show him effectively about the level game, the levels in boxing. And it's not a game, it's a tough place to be in there. When you're in the ring with someone and you're outgunned and they're bigger than you, they're stronger than you, they've got more experience than you, they punch harder than you, it's a horrible place to be. And does he have the know-how, does he have the understanding to figure a way through it? Tony Bellew managed to do it in his last couple of fights he had with me. He managed to find a way. Can he do the same? I don't believe he can. He does. He really does truly believe he can beat me. And I admire the confidence. I genuinely do. But there's a thin line between confidence and sort of ignorance. And he's gonna figure that one out on September 11th.
You mentioned Tony Bellew there. He said that it was madness that you were making a comeback. What's your thought on that remark?
No, he's right. It's a strange thing, particularly against the opponent that I'm fighting. It's not a usual thing. It's a complete anomaly. If we wasn't friends, it wouldn't have even come about. The conversation wouldn't have even started. It just would have been a non-starter. He happened to be fighting on a platform called Triller, who are looking at really making some big moves in the sport of boxing. They brought out Oscar De La Hoya, the Hall of Fame fighter, the golden boy, the Olympic gold medalist. He's won multiple world titles in multiple weight divisions, one of the best to ever do it. They've got him out of there. They've got deep pockets, and they're not afraid to throw money at the right fights to make a massive spectacle. And these guys wanted me. They wanted me to fight Joe Fournier on their platform on Triller. And here we go. We're gonna get it on, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. But it's not going to be fun for Joe. It's not going to be fun for Joe. Maybe the ring walk will be fun, walking out to 20,000 people at the Staples Center, the press conference, the weigh-in. It's all going to be fun. It's all going to be good stuff until that first bell rings and it gets real dangerous, real quick, real explosive. And he'll realize why they call me the Haymaker.
Before the cameras started rolling earlier this afternoon, you told us that you'd actually been in the Staples Centre previously,
Yeah.
and you were with Joe Fournier.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, last time I was there, I went with Joe. Joe works with Usher, the musician, and you know, we was there to support Usher doing his Prince tribute at the Staples Centre. You know, and we was there, but we had a great time. And we're going to be going back to the same place again, but not this time going there to enjoy it. We're going there to have a fight against each other. It's a crazy situation how it works. You know, this is the same day that Kobe Bryant died, and it was literally, we landed in LA the same. Literally, I turned the phone on and my phone blew up. Everyone's phone was going crazy as he'd just literally been declared dead, obviously from the helicopter accident. And you know, obviously the Staples Centre, they had to change the whole Grammys thing with tributes to him and whatnot. But yeah, that was the last time we was there, and here we go back on September 11th of all the dates to go back and do the same. I'm going to go back into the Staples Centre, and I'm going to have to dish out a vicious beatdown on a very good friend of mine. It's a strange thing to do to your friend, but boxing's a sport where you can fight your friend. I fought my friends before, and I don't hold back on my friends. It's a game. If we played basketball against each other, we played basketball. He used to play basketball for England, so he's a good basketball player. And he didn't take it easy on me when we had some one-on-one. He tried to win as easily and as quickly as possible. It's exactly what I'm going to do in boxing.
This is retribution now for all those basketball games.
Yeah, exactly.
So, boxing fans, you know better than anyone in this room, certainly myself, what boxing fans are like and the sorts of things they'll say when news of a retired boxer coming out of retirement makes headlines. These boxing fans have been comparing you to the likes of Oscar De La Hoya, and then we've seen Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones Jr. Do you think it's fair to lump you in with those fighters, considering you're actually about 15, 20 years younger than some of them?
Yeah, it's definitely different to Mike Tyson and Roy Jones and De La Hoya. They're in their 50s. You know, Mike Tyson is in mid-50s, so's Roy Jones, so's Oscar De La Hoya. I'm 40. But yeah, I've been retired for 3 years. You know, I'm a retired boxer, retired former world champion, multi-weight world champion. So, you know, I got no problem with people lumping me in with those guys. But I'm doing it to prove a point. I'm doing it to show a buddy of mine what it's about, and the fact that, you know, I'm getting paid pay-per-view money for, you know, effectively 5 weeks of work, and it's hard work. You know, I train very hard. Now that I know the fight's happening, you know, I'm not just going through the motions. I know I can't just turn up there out of shape. You know, I know all my joints and ligaments and all my muscles have to be fully firing. Otherwise, bad things happen. It's happened in the past. It's happened when I've been feeling warm and ready. Things snap. Achilles tendon snapped 2 fights ago. You know, right before, about 6 months before my last fight, my biceps snapped off the bone. My body does fall apart. It's falling apart, and I haven't done anything that extreme to cause it to be injured recently, which has allowed it to recover and heal. But Joe thinks the only reason it hasn't been injured is because you haven't done anything. That's why. When you do something, we've seen what happens. I get where he's coming from. I get how he calculated it. But I know that, you know, doing the training that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be fully fit and fully ready to do enough to be able to beat Joe Fournier.
You mentioned the money there. Obviously, Eddie Hearn took a little bit of a jab at you earlier this week when he said he loves a pound note.
Who doesn't? What fighter likes to get paid less than what they believe they're worth? None. You know, and I guarantee you there's not one fighter in the UK that wouldn't take this fight for the money that I'm getting. I guarantee it. Retired, there could be 60 that'd still take the fight. So it's easy when you're not getting it. Eddie would take the fight. He would for the money I'm getting. So it's you know, Triller are looking at doing some big things in the sport of boxing. They're sign up whoever they can sign up. Whoever's got the biggest name, biggest profile, biggest platform. They're looking at really, you know, staging some mega events. You know, the fact they've managed to get Oscar De La Hoya. You think people haven't wanted Oscar De La Hoya? He's the golden boy. They've somehow managed to get him at 52 years old to come out of retirement to fight Vito Belfort. I think it's a huge statement. And I'm fighting on the undercard. How crazy is that? It got me fighting on that just shows how bonkers this is. Anderson Silva fighting Tito Ortiz in a boxing match. 2 Hall of Fame. You know, Anderson Silva probably arguably the best pound for pound mixed martial arts ever. He's just amazing, but he's a good boxer. He beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. beat him last time out in a boxing match. So he's a former world champion. So he's the real deal. So they're looking at doing some big things, and credit to him. And I'm happy to be part of it all.
Exhibition fights have always existed in boxing, always existed in combat sport. Like Ali was a pioneer of it. Ali
had the martial. They fought the guy with the martial artist, and the guy was laying on the floor kicking and whatnot.
It almost cost him his leg as well, because he
got kicked in his knees. He had some issues with his legs after that.
He got infected. He almost had his leg amputated. So exhibition fights have always existed.
They can go wrong though.
Yeah, it seems that nowadays, particularly on social media, people are kind of die-hard boxing fans then are kind of angry at the idea of the concept of these exhibition fights. So even though they've existed for 50, 60 years, so why do you think people are
just angry in general nowadays? People just want what they want, and if they don't get it, they complain. There's just an open. Back in the day, there was no forum for them to vent their anger or their disapproval for whatever it is. Now everyone's got a voice. Anyone could download Twitter, just write down how they're really unimpressed with whatever it is they're looking at. I've just paid $50 to watch this, and I'm really sad that I have to pay $50 to it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And when it doesn't work out how they want it to, they're upset about it. So there's always going to be people upset. But the good thing about these different platforms, you don't have to buy it, you don't have to watch it. If you're upset about it, you don't have to talk about it. Don't do anything. It's not compulsory to watch it. So if you are one of those people who don't want to watch it, watch whatever it is you want to watch. And that's no one's forcing anybody to do anything they don't want to do. They might think it's taking up their internet space or somewhere. I don't know. A lot of people complain for the sake of complaining now. We get into that world where when everyone's got a voice, no one's really ends up listening to them.
It's social media, isn't it? If you say you like apples, someone will say, well, why don't you like oranges then?
Yeah, you can't. It's very difficult to win in today's society. But I just focus on what I like to do, what I want to watch. I enjoyed the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight. It was intriguing. He was fighting a bigger guy, and I thought Logan Paul gave a real good account of himself. The fact that he landed a couple of big shots. He was in the fight, was mixing it up. He was roughing up Mayweather. Mayweather was out there letting his hands go. It was intriguing. It was intriguing while it lasted. I enjoyed the Jake Paul fight. I enjoyed KSI when he fought Logan Paul. I enjoyed that. But I enjoy combat sport as long as it's evenly matched, or as long as there's something about it that makes it intriguing. I'll tune in and watch it.
You've been asked quite a lot by quite a lot of people today for your predictions on Joshua Usyk and eventually Joshua Fury and who gets the better there. But talking about Jake Paul there, how do you think the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight is going to go?
I think Jake's a boxer, although he comes from a YouTube background or a social media background. He's a boxer. I know his coach BJ Flores. I remember BJ Flores has talked about Jake Paul since he first started working with him, and he said first and foremost the kid's a tremendous athlete. He said he could play American football, he could play baseball, he's just a naturally good athlete, and he's turned his hand to boxing, and he's really good. He's got a good chin, he can let his hands go, he's willing to work hard, train full time, 2-3 times a day, good nutrition, he just lives the life as a pro boxer. Woodley's a mixed martial artist, he's lost his last 5 fights, but if it was a mixed martial arts fight, my money's on Woodley, but it's not, it's a boxing match. So you go with a boxer over the MMA fighter all day long, and I just think it probably 1 or 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. It's hard, you can't compare a baseball player to a cricket player. It doesn't work that way. You can't boxers, and it doesn't equate. Just because someone has a very impressive record in another sport, doesn't mean it translates every time to work out in their favour. Because he has got significantly more fight experience in the octagon, but in boxing, it's a one-horse race for me. So I'm not expecting anything other than a pretty conclusive victory for Jake Paul.
back to your fight with Joe Fournier. You're looking in wicked shape at the moment. You've seen on your Instagram recently, you said you were, it was hardly an ounce of fat on you, and you were saying, I'm weighing now what I did 3 years ago when I retired, or maybe even...
I was £10 lighter. I'm £10 lighter than I was back then.
It's mad. So can you talk us through your training diet strategy at the moment?
That's a secret. Can't tell. It's just the training is a secret. I can't tell people what it is. It'd be a bit too controversial.
I know. It's in terms of your workout, it's like an hour a session, 5 times a week.
4 or 5 times a week. I train. I don't want anyone else to use my secret remedy for staying in great shape, for doing as little as I do. So I keep it under wraps. One day I'll let everybody know.
That's right.
I'll do a fitness DVD or something.
That's fair enough. And one final question as well. Obviously, the plan is just to go up against Joe. Beyond that, can you see yourself maybe taking on one of the Paul brothers? Maybe resurrecting a former rivalry that existed during your professional days with someone like Derek Chisora or something like that?
No, I envisage after this fight hanging back up the gloves that I've temporarily taken off the hook for, and getting back to enjoying my life and doing other things I enjoy to do, inspiring the next generation to live their best life and to achieve whatever it is they feel they want to do.
That's brilliant, David. All the best for September the 11th.
Pleasure, mate.
Cheers.